Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Wade Watches. I'm Wade, and as you might have noticed, I am not using my laptop camera, and there are no intro effects or visuals for this review, but it's all good. It's just because I'm a bit pressed for time this week, so I don't have time to edit. This review and the next couple of reviews that are gonna follow this one it's just gonna be me in front of my phone's camera, and that's all good because at the end of the day, I'm just here to present my thoughts on movies. So, with that this little disclaimer out of the way, I'm going to be reviewing Renfield today, directed by Chris McKay and starring Nicholas Hoult, Aquafina, and of course, Nicolas Cage as Count Dracula. So, honestly, there's really not much for me to say about Renfield. It pretty much lives up to its trailers. It's this over the top horror comedy. Lots of blood and gore, lots of swearing, over the top R-rated horror comedy featuring Count Dracula. Nicolas Cage is exactly what you'd expect him to be in this role as Count Dracula. He really sinks his teeth into it. Uh, yeah, he's exactly what I thought he would be. Um, Nicholas Hoult as Renfield was very effective. He is currently one of the best character actors out there right now, and he really did a good job of playing this guy who feels trapped, feels enslaved. He literally is the servant to the Prince. What's Dracula's nickname? Prince of Darkness, something like that. And he did a good job of selling it. And Aquafina as this cop that Renfield eventually comes across. She was funny as usual. She was humorous. She was good. So it so all that's good. But where this movie kind of falls short for me, it's really one big glaring flaw because again, it definitely doesn't present itself as a movie to be taken super seriously, and it's definitely not a movie that you see for the captivating plot. But that being said, I will say that the one glaring flaw that it has for me is the fact that there really isn't much time spent on the relationship between Count Dracula, Count Dracula the Master, in Renfield, the helpless servant, the guy that Dracula is using for these horrible deeds, using to have people, using him to, pretty much like capture innocent people and feed them to Count Dracula. There's like a split. It's only a 90-minute long movie, so I definitely think it could have been a bit longer because you get a quick sequence at the beginning that's kind of riffs on iconic the iconic Bela Lugosi, Todd Browning version of Dracula from, I believe, 1931 that everybody knows and loves. That's the Dracula that we all think of when we hear Count Dracula. Um, it kind of riffs on that and pays homage to that at the beginning, but that's all you really see. Is because from there it cuts to modern day, and most of it is Renfield saying, I've been doing, serving him for decades, and I'm trying to break free. As you see in the trailers, the therapy group who are in abusive relationships that meets, he becomes a part of them, becomes acquainted with them and whatnot. Um, and it From there, this a terrible relationship, that this abusive, not even relationship, this servitude is only like talked about by Renfield. He keeps saying, I'm tired of it. I'm so drained. I don't want to let him grow to full power. I want to take control of my life. And they really should have shown what like all of the horrible things that Renfield had to do for Dracula over the decades, because they don't really show it. You don't really get a lot of I don't think this is a light spoiler. I'm just saying what's not there. You don't really get too much of Renfield just like capturing totally innocent people and feeding them to Count Dracula, and that's all I'll say about that. And I really could have used more of that, because this movie is not at all subtle about the fact that it's a huge metaphor for people who are in abusive relationships and people who are in toxic relationships. I mean, there's a group that literally there's a focus no, not a focus group. What's the word I'm looking for? Is it focus group? Is it focus group? Yeah. I guess, or there's a therapy there's a therapy group that literally meets because they're all in abusive relationships and they're looking to get out of them. So there's a not so subtle metaphor about being in toxic relationships present here, but I don't really full. That's really the one aspect of this movie that is taken fairly seriously, but I can't feel emotionally connected to that if I don't see enough of it. So that being said, Renfield is fine. It was funny, it was gory, decent horror comedy, but that really, kind of um lost that part, that whole aspect of it being completely absent from the story, me never seeing Renfield be abused that much by Dracula, apart from a handful of scenes that the two of them share where Dracula's like, don't forget your place, and that's basically it. um Without that present, I can't really feel the full emotional impact of what they are trying to make the audience feel, when Renfield, um says that he's just been this tool for this monster for decades. So for that, I'm going to give Renfield a 7 out of 10, just because I did enjoy it. Surprisingly good gory action. There was a surprising amount of morbid humor. I mean, I knew it was a horror comedy going into it, but I didn't know it would be this campy, and I enjoyed it. So Renfield gets a 7 out of 10. It was a fun viewing experience, but they really should have focused. If they expect the audience, to take the whole toxic relationship seriously and take that metaphor seriously, they should have shown us more of Renfield and Count Dracula's toxic relationship. But it was still a blast, so 7 out of 10 for Renfield. This has been yet another edition of Wade Watches, and I will catch you all next time. Peace.